Mr. Kok Heng Leun.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak, probably my last budget speech. Thank you, Minister Heng, for preparing a comprehensive budget for the year ahead. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was really appreciative when, during his speech, the Minister of Finance said this: a strong economy is not an end in itself. Usually, the emphasis on economy and economics is so overwhelming. We hear it on the news, we talk about it with our colleagues, and even the government tend to use economic benchmarks as a marker for Singapore's success. But if a strong economy is not an end to itself, then what is the end? Why work so hard to attain a strong, robust economy? The answer comes in the minister's next line, which I quote: "It is a means to build a better home and provide a better quality of life for all our people." So there is a certain social contract forged between the people of Singapore and the government. And in this social contract, when the economy is strong, the fruits of our labor must be shared with everyone so that we can all achieve a better quality of life. Let me emphasize that point. It is for all our people, not some, not a privileged group, not our supporters. It is not conditional. As a nation, we progress with everyone hand in hand. We each have a role to play in society, in building our economy. Some provide capital, some contribute labor, some succeed and some fail. But as we move ahead, no one should be left behind. When we benefit from this system, we should give back to the society, to give a leg up to those who are less privileged. Our social contract recognizes that we are all part of a larger whole. As such, we need to take care of those who fall between the cracks. Only then can we say, true to our pledge, that there is justice and equality. Yet the fact is, we are some ways away from achieving this ideal. We pride ourselves for building a compassionate meritocracy, one which is kinder, more inclusive, and more redistributive. If I may quote DPM Tharman, budget speech back in 2015, we seek to, I quote, complement a culture of personal effort and responsibility with stronger collective responsibility, unquote. Yes, we hold meritocracy as an important tenet of this society. But our meritocracy only rewards those who have made achievements, those who have done well in school, those who have succeeded in their jobs. What about those who continue to fail in school? What about those who work 2 jobs and still cannot earn enough to feed their family? There is no guarantee of equal opportunity when there is no guarantee of an equal starting point. There is no level playing field. Those who are better off can and will use their privilege to go to better schools, live in better neighborhoods, get better internships and job opportunities. Where does that leave those who begin their journeys on more rocky ground? Those who cannot rise above their circumstances despite their hard work? Those who never achieve because the odds are perpetually stacked against them? Let us not forget that privileges comes in myriad forms: socio-economic status, family history, gender, race, class, sexual orientations, political affiliations, and so on. How do we honor our social compact where meritocracy fails? Now is the time to examine our social compact, to see how a meritocracy benefits or fails it. What is the quality of life lower-income families have at this moment? They are squeezed in tiny rental flats. The children are deprived of privacy and a conducive environment to study. Some do not even have a meal to come home to after school. How do you tell these children that meritocracy will help them succeed? There are various government schemes which low-income families can qualify for based on their income levels. Yet, these families bear a heavy burden on their shoulders. They worry that when they get a salary increments, they may no longer qualify for financial aid and other assistance. They worry that despite their hard work, their incomes do not match the increasing cost of living? How do we tell them that our meritocratic system benefits them when it does nothing to improve their current living conditions and ironically adds to their insecurity? With our growing population, we also encounter more elderly people, particularly seniors who are alone and living in poverty. Some of them share a home with another elderly person because they cannot afford to buy their own property. Others may realize that escalating health costs have to be financed by the sale of their greatest assets, their home. The sense of displacement that these seniors face can be extremely detrimental to their mental health. In some cases, they take on manual, low-paying labor to make a living. How do we explain to these senior citizens that despite all their years of work, they are now left on the margins because they are simply not as productive or competitive as others? Have our social support structures been developed to cater for these seniors? Or do our meritocratic convictions in self-reliance and responsibility means that they should find solutions to their own problems? Currently, the government has adopted the many helping hands approach to plug the gaps where government schemes are less able to deliver. That is to say, funding and activation of manpower are provided for self-help community groups to address these areas. Encouraging community engagement and volunteerism is important, but we need to provide care and support in a sustained and meaningful manner. More importantly, how can we provide assistance without making those who need help feel that they have to prove that they have worked hard but not achieved enough and hence is worthy of support? We have been inculcated with these values of meritocracy. Hard work will be rewarded. Self-reliance and personal achievement are key to our success. Have we then met those who have failed to achieve belief in the narrative that it is because of personal failing that one cannot do better and accept this narrative that it is not a dignified existence? How then do we tell those who do not succeed by society's standard that they have not failed? How do we tell them that there should be no shame in seeking help? Or do we look at them and say, you're not working hard enough, so you don't deserve support? My point is that there are people in our midst who don't succeed despite their best efforts. Maybe they grow up in a poor household, unable to afford books, educational toys, and enrichment classes. Maybe they grew up in a broken home with little parental supervision, so they spend their days and nights at the playground. By the time these people go to school, by the time they leave school, by the time they enter the workforce, I don't have to say it. We know what the outcome is. For every one person who says, I came from a poor upbringing, but now I am a success, there are many others who did not succeed. To use an analogy, each of us are individual parts of a machine that has been working well in the course of our history. Each of us has a different function and capability. If this machine is successful, it is because of all the parts, not just the shiny parts, not just the big parts, not just the loud parts. Every single person plays a role in making an economy successful, from the CEOs to the coffee shop cleaners, from the highly salaried to the hourly paid laborers. So, let us not sweeten meritocracy by adding a descriptive word like compassionate. While we want to uphold meritocracy to promote growth, we should also then look at systematic approaches to eradicate inequality so that meritocracy can be more equitable, so that we can help achieve a better quality of life for all people. How do we then achieve a better quality of life for all, whereas we grapple with growing inequality? It's universal coverage of essential services to certain groups even. The answers to these problems, I believe it should be one amongst other options that Singaporeans should start considering, and we should be having conversations on this deeply. We should not just ask what we want for ourselves. I hope this conversation will start with us looking around us, looking at what besides ourselves is needed to bring a better quality of life to all people. The reserves we have accumulated belong to Singaporeans, especially when they are contributions from the older generations. We work hard now, hoping to save for the future. The government have said that there will be more expenditure and even have plans for 100 years. ahead? Where is the assurance that the hard work of Singaporeans will contribute to their well-being in the future? This larger conversation must be one that involves all Singaporeans across all demographics of society. It should also be one that is open to difference. The different ethnic groups, the different religions and beliefs, the different genders, the different sexual orientations, and the different political ideology. No one should feel or be made to feel left out. These conversations must also not exclude foreigners. The construction workers who build our homes and roads, the domestic workers who tend to our children and seniors. Singapore has a diverse makeup. It is this diversity that enriches our humanity. It is this diversity that powers our innovation. When we support one another, regardless of our differences, we all benefit by becoming collectively stronger. This diversity is what that will make or break Singapore. We are a land-scarce nation with no natural resources. But what we do have is our people. We need to create a conducive space for them to be creative and innovative, for people to take risks and be applauded for success as much as, to be applauded for failures as much as successes. Innovation should not just happen in the workforce and economy. We need to be innovative in life, in social sector, and in dealing with our social and political problems, to think critically, to ask the right questions, to break rules, and to challenge the status quo, if necessary. Do we have such an environment? Are we able to ask the hard questions? Here, I would like to cite what Minister Ong Ye Kung shared in his keynote speech at the last public service conference. I quote, "The main obstacles is ourselves, our organizations and all our entrenched process, bureaucracy, and a culture of being afraid to fail because all these years we have succeeded." Unquote. Indeed, our biggest stumbling blocks are ourselves. An innovative culture is one that does not shy away from asking difficult questions. Innovators often demonstrate different points of views from the conventional or the establishment. As a functioning democratic system, we need to safeguard spaces for such discourse, not only because we should respect difference, not only because it's politically expedient to do so, but because we can learn from differing views, widen our perspective, and become stronger in the process. Here, I would like to highlight the work of an important group of people, the NGOs and the activists on the ground. They have worked incredibly hard against all odds over many of years to find means of addressing the plights of less privileged or accepted groups of people amongst us, the poor, disabled, LGBT people, foreign workers, inmates facing death penalty, and so on. Some of them have been working at this for more than 30, 40, or 50 years. Sometimes their work, while not in opposition to the government, can confront the government's position. So why do they do it? Are they agitators who are just concerned about themselves? No. They do this because they have the same vision that Minister Heng had mentioned, to build a better home and provide for a better quality of life for our people. They raise issues to highlight hidden problems, make the invisible visible. They are concerned about solving problems and eradicating prejudice and injustice. Activists, by and large, don't want to incite trouble. They don't want to be at loggerheads with the state. In fact, they want to get the state on their side so that policies can be changed. They ask questions because they're patriotic. At the core of their activism lies the deep belief in achieving happiness, prosperity, and progress for our nation through a system that is just and equal to all. Sometimes when activists feel that they are not heard, they appeal for support from the public, hoping that the public will hear them out. This is what a functioning democracy is all about. Democracy is not just about votes and electorates, but a system that allows different groups of people to voice their questioned opinions, to start discourse, hoping more people will be more aware of our social problems, get involved, and make a difference. This is patriotism. Patriotism is not always convenient or comfortable. Patriotism can sometimes come in the forms of thorns in our sides. But patriotism comes from a good place and demands that we all do better, not only for ourselves, but but for our fellow men, for most importantly, for our country. So what then is the role of the government in this? How can the state encourage constructive questioning? This is where my experience as an artist comes in useful. Asking hard questions always begin with messiness. We first need to acknowledge the mess. Then together we wade through the messiness, sort things out and listen to different views. Soon we'll find and agree on one brilliant idea. But we need more than just one brilliant idea. We need many ideas, working together, serving as many people as possible. Patriotism is not just about flag waving and National Day celebrations. Patriotism is not about the pursuit to be the best, the richest, the fastest, the smartest, or the most advanced. There are many patriotic people like that in Singapore. But this country also needs patriotic people of a different kind. Those who try to grapple with the increasing inequalities in our midst. Those who are compassionate, innovative, fearless in their questioning. Those who embrace the mess. Those who want to improve our system for one and all Singaporeans. And lastly, I would like to appeal to this government to participate in this dialogue. Let yourself be a vulnerable observer. Be a vulnerable listener. Listen to the voices, to the stories and narratives by first acknowledging the vulnerability as a human being. Allow your values to be challenged, be confronted, and to invest into the emotional truths of the activists and the underserved. Before making judgment and proposing solutions, empathy begins only from vulnerable listening. Then the policy can be more humane, more just, more equal. Thank you.